Hello, in this video I would like to talk about Postman, and I will show you how you can create multiple requests from one request and also how you can randomize the values in these requests. Okay, let's start. As an example, I will use Jira Cloud REST API and I will be creating an issue. To create an issue in Jira Cloud, you need to have a request which looks something like this. You've got fields, and here you say in what project you want to create the request. Then you have to provide the summary of the request. Create in Jira. I want to create also priority for my request. I want to create assignee, custom fields over here. And now if I run this request, then as you can see, the issue will be created. Let's have a look at this issue in Jira itself. It was test 137, here it is. And these are the values which I set with my request. I set a summary, date picker, date time picker, multi-select field, cascading select field, single user picker, single select picker, priority, and so on. Okay, so what I want to do now, I want to create multiple requests like this, but I want this request to have different values for summary, for issue type, for priority, for assignee, and for all of these custom fields. How to do that? First of all, I need to open collections, and now I need to add a new collection, something like this. I will call this collection, let's say, create issues. Okay, that's how I created it. The next thing, I need to add a request to this collection. I will use the same request as here, so I will choose it will be post. I will add here the API call. I will take the body of this request over here. And then I also need to provide authorization. So basically in Atlassian Cloud you can use your username and a key. But for me, I usually take a cookie from a browser because I need it just once. I don't need to make it as a script or something. So for me it's easier, for example, to go over here into Issue Navigator, take any request from here. For example, I'm going to network, let's execute something, and then I can go, for example, to GraphQL over here and take these cookies from the request and then add it over here. And that's what I'm going to do. I will create cookie, and then here I will add the value which I copied from my browser. Okay, I added the cookie, and now what I can do, I can try to send this request and see if it's working. Yes, it's working. A new request was created. Let's call it create issue. And that's it. It's done. Okay, now what we have to do, we have somehow to add a randomization to these variables. For example, to summary, to issue type, and so on. First of all, let's open our new runner tab. And as you can see here, I can provide a file. In this file, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a file like this. So it will be project. It will have just one field project, and then it will have test. So the project where I'm going to insert my issues, the project key will be test. Actually, you could do it another way, but I decided to show you how to take variables from a CSV file. That's why I just added there the project. Okay, let's see. Now when I choose, for example, select file, then I need to move my create issues to run order, and then I can run create issues. And as you can see, a request was executed and a new issue has been created with these parameters. Now let's try to randomize some things. First of all, we will add the parameter to project. We will take the project which is provided in the CSV file. How to do that? We go over here, and then in parentheses we just write project, because as you can see this field is called project. So basically if I put here something else, for example test1, test2, then first the value for the project would be taken test, for the second request the value for the project would be taken test1. But I need to create in one project, so it will be just one value. Okay, let's try to execute it. First of all, we need to save. Then we go to create issues and run again. And now if we have a look, we see that we have here test. Now let's say you want to create 5 issues like this. How you can do that? Of course, you can go to this file and add here like multiple 5 tests, and then when you would execute it, you would have 5 issues created. Let's try it. We need to new runner tab, add it here, then take the file, and now if we run create issues, we will have 5 requests, and 5 issues will be created in project test. But an easier way to do it, if we leave here only one value, and then let's open again new runner tab, put our create issues, select our CSV file, and here we will say that we want to do it 5 times. Let's start. Run create issues, and as you can see we created again 5 issues. Okay, good. Now let's try to add a parameter, a random variable, to summary. If we have a look at dynamic variables in Postman, we can find here lorem ipsum variables over here. And for example, we can take this parameter which will create summary like this. Let's take this parameter. Let's go back over here, and here again we will say that we want to take a parameter which would be called something like this. Now we can try to execute it again. And as you can see, we have 5 issues, and here all issues have a different summary over here. Now let's try to deal with all other parameters. Let's try to make a parameter for task. In Postman, you've got such a feature which is called pre-request script. You can push over here, and then here you have a pre-request script. And now here you can create any variable you would like using JavaScript. For example, let's create a variable for issue types. For issue type, a variable would look like this. So we have an array of issue types, and then we will select a random issue type from this array using this function. And then we will take issue types over here and then put it into our request over here. So instead of writing this one, we will write like this. Now let's try to execute it. Run again. We will see that, for example, in this request it's a task, and this one is a story. The next one will be also a story. The next one will be a task. So we create random issues with random issue types. Okay, let's complete some other parameters. Let's have a look over here. Let's do the same for priority, for assignee. This is a user picker, and then this is a single select list. Let's write the same code. Again, we will be going to our pre-request script, and here is the code. So we've got this priorities, I took it from Jira, then I select the random one. We have this assignees, these are account IDs keys. Actually, here I also took null, because in Jira, if you provide null instead of ID, then nothing will be created. So I want some issues not to have an SID. The same I did with single user picker. I also added null and account IDs. And I also created a single select with all these options. Okay, now what we have to do, we need to put all these values over here. And here, as you can see, I changed priority with priority variable, assign with assign variable, single user picker, and single select. Now let's try to execute it. Don't forget to save all the changes. And now let's run it again. And as you can see right now, we have assignee. For example, here assignee will be null, it will be unassigned. Here inside assignee is a different one, and the same actually happened with priority. So priority is also different everywhere. So these variables are working. Now let's take a bit more complicated examples. The next thing we need to do here is to handle dates. If you have a look at dynamic variables, you can find dates over here. Over here, you see you've got ISO timestamp, which actually is good for Jira, because in Jira you have to set a date time or a date picker using ISO format. But the problem is that it will return only the current date, and I would like to add past dates, like some dates in the past. And if I have a look here, for example, past date, over here you see random date past. The problem is that it's not ISO format, and I'm not sure why Postman did that, because I believe that most applications use ISO format. But anyway, we will not take any variable, we will write our own function. That is how it will look like. Again, we go to our request script and we will write a function. I will call this function random date, and then it will create a random date between the start date and end date. And that is how you can use it. Here it is, so I call it past date, and then I call this function and I put there to 2022 and today's date, and then it will return me any date within this interval. And it will call post date. Then I save it, of course. I'm going over here, and then these ones, the dates, I replace with my new variable. Like this. I'll save it, and now if I want to run it, let's run it again. And now, as you can see, it was created, and the dates here are, for example, this one is 2022 April. Okay, let's deal with other variables. In Jira, we've got a cascade select field. This cascade select field actually have parent value and child value, and it looks like this. And also I want to randomize it. How to do that? Let's go again to our script, and we will write the following code. Here is the code. So I define parents. These are all my parents in Jira. And for each parent, I define children. And then first I get a random parent and set it. And then I get a random child for this parent and also set it. Now I need to change values over here to add the variables. Here are the variables. And now I saved it. I will also save the script over here, and then let's try to run it, and then let's see what's being created. And here you see, for example, parent 1 child 1 3. Here we've got parent 3 child 3 2, and so our variable is working. And now let's have a look at other options. We have multi-select option and multi-user option. So here we need to add an array of options, and I would like to add a random number of values. For example, it can be 0 values or 1 value or 3 values. How to do that? I wrote the following script. Again, let's go to our prerequest script, and here is the function. I pass an array over here, then I will get a random number of the values which I want to take from this array over here, and then I take this random number. I also shuffle the array so that the values would be in any random order, and then I take the number of array elements which I set over here. And now let's define the variables. This is for multi-select. I defined an array and then I passed this array to get array elements, and then here is also I defined user IDs and also passed to get array elements. Now I save it. Also I need to add this variable over here, and that is how it would look like. I added multi-user and multi-select. Now I saved it, and now let's try to execute it. Run again. Let's see what we've got. Here you see we've got 3 options over here. Here we've got 0 options. Here we've got 1 option. Here we've got 2 options. So basically we have random values. And again, if you want to create 10,000 issues, what you can do, you can you run a tab, select your file, and then here you can like 10,000 issues, and then you can run it and go to sleep. That's all for the video. I will put the pre-request script, the body of the request, and the CSV file into the description of this video. Hopefully this information was useful for you. Thank you. Bye bye.